Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And we're doing it again tonight in a little bit of a different way. I think this is going to be really interesting, especially if you've ever wondered about plant medicine and consciousness in that direction. This is the place to be tonight. I want to do a shout out to our friends and cohorts over at Conscious Awakening Network. If you haven't gone over there, go over there and see what's going on over there. Sheila's got all kinds of amazing people and podcasts and classes, and there's going to be more, but I can't give it away yet. So go check it out over there. If you would like to join us to manifest amazing things in this world, in this universe, you can send an email to the Mastermind Connection, all one word, at gmail.com. Augie will send you an email and you can meet with us on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. We have about an hour beautiful visualization meditation that we pull in from the quantum realm, the things that we want to see happening, right? The new world coming about, right? Like compassion and love and community, and everybody has a home, and we are looking at creating all those things. So come join us. So without any further ado from me, Agni, please tell us about our guest.
Yeah, hi there. This is going to be a lot of fun because we have Drew Banky with us. And stay with us to the end of this one because you just might learn something. Because Drew is he's a combat veteran. He's an author and a co-founder of the Sacred Journeys Within, which is a federally recognized psychedelic church. Now, that's a new one. I've actually never heard about that before, but we're going to hear about it tonight. And he's also on the speaking circuit talking about powerful insights with plant medicine and Native American ceremonies and consciousness exploration. And he has been on the Discovery Channel and many, many other platforms, and he is everywhere doing shows and interviews. So he's talking about a lot of interesting stuff. And also, he's talking about the journeys within the mind, extraterrestrials, UFOs, and things like that. So without any more from me, welcome to the show here, Drew.
Welcome, Drew.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to share and connect with your audience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. We have a pretty open-minded audience. We have a great audience, and they'll really get you. But I can't help but wonder, like, how did all this come about for you? Did you have the normal trajectory from childhood into corporate, and you took a turn, or how did this go for you?
Um, my trauma started off like a lot of us in childhood. Like, one of my theories is that I'm pretty established on is we all have a childhood trauma of some type, whether it be too rich, too poor, abused, loved too much, not loved enough, adopted. I was adopted was my major trauma. So, and going back to the actual birthing, like the actual birthing process that we are led into in this Western world, cutting the cord without, the way it's done in the Western world, there used to be a thing called lotus birth, where the placenta would be, birthed beside the child, and the placenta would actually lay beside the child in a wicker basket for days until really the child decided to disconnect from source. And that's really what a lot of what I'm going to be talking about tonight is going to go back to, is disconnecting from source or reconnecting to source, because that's really like what the whole process is. You know, from when we disconnect from our mother, we're going through our whole life trying to reconnect to source. And that has been washed out of practice just over the past couple of 100 years of, really demonizing in a way the lotus birth process. And so in a sense, we all start off with the trauma. You know, we've all there's been a violation against our free will, and we have someone else disconnected us from source. So cosmic laws, there's only like really four cosmic laws, and two of those have been violated just in the act of cutting the cord and disconnecting you from source. So and to add to that, I went through the adoption. So, um, through my process, I've, relived and went back and to actually the moment that I was birthed, and remembered the nurses and the doctors saying, he's going to be put up for adoption. And that was imprinted on me up until, about 2 years ago, until I actually, dug it out of the back corners of my psyche.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, that's my process was like that. And I grew up with a adopted family. I didn't find out I was adopted until I was almost 18. So that was another big trauma
Oh,
that caused a
I
lot
share
of.
I share the same trauma with you.
Really.
And it's, I think it's almost, it um it it expands the trauma that one got to go so many years on the planet not knowing. There's a certain sense of betrayal that you feel there. So I'm interested to hear how you went back in and how you got to heal from that. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, obviously it was a big trauma, like right at 18. I found out just days before I turned 18, met my
Wow.
biological mom shortly after. Never got to meet my biological father. He had passed away, so that's a whole nother layer of it. But,
Yeah.
we all have these things that just keep building up, and eventually we find a trigger that releases it. And um, I joined the military. I had a deep call to service that was deep inside me. I didn't find out until later, after ayahuasca, what that calling really was, but I was misinterpreting it, that calling, that call to service, by going in the military and all that. And it was actually a much deeper call to service that I actually found out later on. But
Wow.
that's jumping forward in it. So went to Iraq in 2005, 2007, got out in 2009. My second deployment, I was in Ramadi, Iraq. My first deployment, I was in Baghdad. So both deployments, I got to go outside the wire. I got to experience things like in combat, and nothing. I didn't do anything spectacular. Nothing anymore. I didn't win any special awards or anything, but I was definitely saw combat and saw things that imprinted on my life. From it will always be part of me, and I've accepted that. But so 2009, I got out. From 2009, 2014, kind of bounced around from job to job, a lot of alcoholism, um, you know, in our relationships, and just the basic veteran that come back from Iraq and got out, the storyline that you hear all the time. And a lot of depression in the background, suicide, and manly stance, when in front of everybody, the whole picture of the veteran. And 2014, I was a suicide attempt, and that really set me on a different trajectory, got me into the VA healthcare system. Finally got diagnosed with PTSD, and started to put a label or a focus on what actually triggered all this trauma. Obviously, looking back, it was other trauma too, but uh, these 2 years I spent, 2+ years I spent in Iraq, really triggered all that to come to surface. And so I went through the VA healthcare plan, a lot of talk therapy, a lot of medication. I was on 5 different medications, and 2016 come about, and I had met my then wife shortly after months after the suicide attempt. I met her, so she met me at my lowest and saw something in me, and yeah, I can't thank her enough for that. But 2016 come about, and the VA stuff wasn't helping me. It just wasn't. I could feel something, that depression coming back. I could just feel it, and it wasn't on the surface, but I just knew it was there. And about that time, I had a friend that went down to Peru. He done 2 weeks ayahuasca ceremonies and come back, and it was just a different person. So I started studying ayahuasca ceremonies and peyote ceremonies and psychedelic ceremonies and trying to find a place in the States to do it. And all I could find was places in South America. And finally, my wife had found a place in Florida. And yeah, she comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, in 5 weeks we're going to drink ayahuasca. Like, we got to
Wow.
stop having sex. We got to stop. You got to stop drinking alcohol. We got to stop eating red meat. Like all these different things for the diet to get prepared to go into ayahuasca." And I was like, "Okay, we basically cleaned out the fridge and everything, changed our
And you too.
shampoos and everything." And
Wow.
yeah, that first ceremony was on a Friday night. I drank like 3 cups and I didn't feel anything. It was just a real dark ceremony for me, a lot of cleansing. And I wanted to leave. We had 2 ceremonies set up, Friday and Saturday night. I wanted to leave Saturday morning. They ended up talking me into staying. And that second night, that first cup, 20 minutes after I drank the first cup, it all hit me, all of it. And I got to see the spirit world for the first time. I went down a light tunnel. I come out the end of that
Wow.
tunnel and met the spirit of ayahuasca, which is, really now I see it as the divine feminine
Yes.
of the whole entire creation,
Ah,
what she represents. But
beautiful.
yeah, and then it just woke me up to the spirit world. So it opened up a million questions. I've always known there was something more, but I really didn't care to know about it. I didn't go looking for spirituality. So I tell everyone all the time, I got tricked into this role. I got tricked into this spiritual, whatever role I'm doing right now. I got tricked into it. I didn't go looking for it. It found me.
Yeah,
When
it's
you
meant
were
to be.
going to, yeah, go ahead, Norlie.
No, I was just saying that was meant to be. If it came and found you, that was definitely meant to be.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It just opened up a whole understanding of, it's almost like I was in a house for my whole life up until 36, and I finally like opened the door and understood there was a whole outside,
Yes.
and then I just wanted to explore outside.
Yeah, when you said you were going through the tunnel, what kind of tunnel was that? Was it a lit up tunnel? Did you feel like, oh no, did I die? Or was there
I
any
I did I
cons
did I did I thought I died. Like it was definitely I was under that realization when I was going into a light. I was like, okay, I've heard about this before. This is death. I was like, and I was fine with it. Like there was no anxiety at that point. And I just wanted to observe everything that was happening at that point. So I was going through basically this white light tunnel, and it wasn't my body. It was more like my consciousness was going through this tunnel. So I was without form really going through this tunnel. And in the white tunnel was pictures of me. First, it was like a picture of me, and then the next picture was a slightly different picture, but it was a different face. But I could recognize from the eyes, like each picture I could recognize from the eyes, it was me. So, like, I don't know if it's true, but maybe we have the same type eyes, like when we reincarnate or whatever. But at that time, I was going through that tunnel. I saw all these different faces, even off planet. Different countries, different skin colors, different genders, thousands of them. And then it turned into different planets. And at the end, I just busted out into blackness. And out in the blackness, I saw this speck, and as I started floating over to it, I saw this woman. Is just a really beautiful woman. If you guys are familiar with Chris Bledsoe, the same way he describes the woman, it was unbounded beauty that was goes way past anything sexual or anything. It was just like so perfectly beautiful, feminine spirit, But it was in the form of this beautiful woman, and she had wings that a wing or a cloak, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, but it was like the silky. fabric, but it stretched out into eternity, just in both directions. And
Oh, that's
I was just
amazing.
in her I was just floating in her presence, and she was like, "Ask me a question, ask me a question." She kept telling me, "Ask me a question." Every time she would say that, like it would just flood me like what she was, and I would just be flooded with this love. So I would just weep. So I was weeping in the physical, and I was weeping in that space. But every time I would weep, she would just wrap me in those wings or whatever it was, and just pull me in. And then I would stop crying, and she would push me out. And then I don't think I ever got any questions in that first meeting. It was just
Uh,
in awe, and it was just
how did,
not only, obviously it's residing in my physical now from the memory, but um, just being in that moment, I was just so amazed of everything that pretty much everything I've been told and shown and taught. Sunday school as a kid, like everything was like all BS. It was all just coming very clear to me that it was like people don't have a clue. Like this is way past anything you can comprehend until you like experience it. Like you can't even me trying to articulate it now, like you can get a picture of it, but really like you have to experience it firsthand. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Linda in the chat room was wondering, uh, Drew, if you felt like it was all your birth tunnel, just your birth tunnel.
yeah, my soul space. So at when I went through the tunnel, I perceived what I was seeing as past lives. Now I perceive them more as dimensional spaces or vibrational spaces where um because I lost the linear thought process of how things work, over the years, going in ceremonies of different kind and things like that. So my perspective of what I saw changed from more of past lives to more dimensional spaces that I'm actually operating in this time and space right now, like because everything's happened right time and now. And I believe, as we expand our consciousness, as we go through this awakening process that we're all going through, whether, whatever triggers it, whether it be a synchronicity or ayahuasca ceremony or a near death or a near, a car almost hitting you or anything like that, whatever it is to trigger you, I think when we start to expand, we start to open up to those other spaces that we're operating in, like our soul space. Because if you think, I mean, we're energy, like we're the two facts that we can agree upon, like as a collective, we are energy. We have energy inside of us. They put a paddle board and shock your heart back. It stops with an electrical charge, and energy never dies. It only goes from one
Yep.
place to another. It never dies. It can never be extinguished. So how can the Western mindset of how death works, it goes against those two facts that contradict each other. Now, if we
Yep.
put those two facts together, then we can understand we actually do live forever. We only seeing a very small window, like from all our senses. We're only seeing a very small window of sight. We're only hearing a very small amount. We're only tasting a very small amount. That's why people, when they come out of ayahuasca ceremonies, oh, this apple tastes, this is the best apple I've ever tasted. The lemonade tastes a lot different. The sugar tastes a lot different because it's you have been reset from the ceremony. It kind of resets you back to more starting point, like what a baby would be like. You wouldn't give a baby a lemon, at a week old, because their taste buds are not used to anything close to that. So it takes a while to get anything citrus or anything like that. So it's, having ayahuasca and doing these ceremonies, it's a deep reset, especially if it's done the right way.
Hmm. I'm
Well,
wondering too. Let me go back to when you were going through the tunnel. You saw all these faces. Could it be faces from we exist on more than one timeline? Could it be other timelines and other existences for
It's
you?
exact.
Because in quantum mechanics, the many world theory says clearly we are existing in more than one
That's
existence.
that's exactly what I'm saying. And I'll tell you a story that we're jumping way ahead, and we can rebound, but I have to tell this story now because it just
Okay.
ties into it. So 2018, I believe it was, or 2019. It was me and the wife were celebrating our anniversary. It was in February. We went to Chaco Canyon. We hiked in Chaco Canyon, looked at the petroglyphs. I pulled out my drum at the end and I sung a prayer song, a Native American prayer song to the canyon, to the spirits, just for all this beauty and everything, it is. I just felt so much energy, and we had pictures, we had orbs in the pictures and all kinds of stuff. So we're staying at a B&B, which is in Cortez, Colorado, which is about 2.5 hours away from Chaco Canyon. I actually passed by like the exit to go to Four Corners, so it's all that area. And so Cortez is just in the southern southwest, which is close to Four Corners. We're staying in a B&B in Cortez. We go from Chaco Canyon back to Cortez. We have dinner. We go to bed that night. I get woken up about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My ears are buzzing, and I'm vibrating like I just took a
Wow.
little too much mushrooms or something. And so I wake up my wife up. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go outside, have a smoke, and try to calm down. Try to get some fresh air and try to calm down." Tobacco usually like brings me back to baseline. And so I walk outside and I step outdoor, and I'm still like it's getting louder. Like it's getting a lot louder, like in my ears, and it's starting to like I can feel it in my body. And as I'm walking outdoor, the vibration kind of transfers from my ears to I feel it pulsating from like the center, like my heart chakra, or maybe my solar plexus chakra, like the center of my body. I feel it just pulsating out, and I feel just like it was really strong. Like I've never felt even in ceremonies, I've never felt that level of vibration. And so I light the cigarette and I take one hit off of it and I start to cough and I spit and I lean forward and I spit over the edge of the railing of the deck of this Airbnb in the backyard. And as I spit, I look to my left and some catches my eye and it's 2 feet standing beside me about 12 to 14 inches beside me, and they're facing the same way, just 2 feet. And it startles me for a minute. I'm like, oh my God, there's like someone standing out here. This is a middle, it's like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think I'm like, I live out in the middle of nowhere where I live now. Like, there's nothing around me. I have off grid homestead. So I was like, man, someone walked up in the backyard or something like that. And as I turn towards it, I realize it's a shadow. So there's nothing on it. Like, no, I can't see anything on
Body.
it, but it's just a shadow. But it's the same height as me, same outline and everything. And so I turned around and looked behind me for a street light, or I thought maybe I turned on the light on the deck. I turn around, there's no lights, and as I'm turning back around towards it, my mind's just like trying to grab for anything that it could be. And as I turn around and face it, its eyes just start to crack open, and this white light like floods out. And as it opens his
Wow.
eyes about halfway open, I see stars. And then it pulls like my soul out of my body, basically, or I don't know how to explain it, but I went through its
Wow.
eyes. So my consciousness went through its eyes and just started going through space. And it was stuff I've never seen before, like, and stuff I don't even know if anybody's ever seen before. Just going through galaxy after layer of dimensional fields and just getting these downloads after downloads. I got a creation story that's in my first book. I'm Perfect and So Are You. It's on Amazon. You can look it up by my name. But that creation story is in there. And it's very deeply connected to the 3 dots that are on the front of my book, similar to the 3 dots that are on the front of Chris Bledsoe's book. That's a whole nother episode and story that we can get into another time. But
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I come back into my body. I snap back into my body, and I'm standing there looking at it. Its eyes are wide open, and it just kind of fades away. And
Wow.
I run inside, lock the door, like fear like is overtook me at this point. I wake my wife up. I'm like, I'm babbling to her everything that's back there. I was like, I don't know if it's a ghost, ET, I don't know what it is, another me, I don't know what it is, but I just explained to her everything that happened. She's like, let me get you a bath. She had some she always has like lavender oil. She put some lavender oil in there. She just kind of took care of me and calmed me down, and eventually went to sleep. And talked about it for the next couple of days. Just babbled until eventually it kind of faded away till it was only a mention here and there throughout the day, instead of like all day thing. And about a week or two later, I had a dream where I'm on this other planet, and I see like other beings, like multiple species, like walking around, just doing things. I'm on this like big flight deck. It's open, and I can see like a bunch of stars out. And I close my eyes and I open them, and I hear a door open up, and I see my body. Like, I didn't know I was not, I was in a different body, but I saw my body walk out, light a cigarette, cough, spit over the edge, and go through that whole experience. And that's when I understood bilocation, and that's when I understood being bilocated, and not just bilocated, but multiple located, because I've had that experience too with Bigfoot before. So.
Yeah.
Well,
You have had you've had a while to analyze this now. What do you actually think that entity or whatever it was next to you with the feet? What do you think that was?
Another particle of myself in a higher dimensional field that knows what we're about to experience, or what we are experiencing in humanity right now. So I think a lot of us that are having, I think my theory is any experience, whether it be a craft, face-to-face encounter, whether it be a dream, waking state, or whatever, I think it's another particle of you that's coming back to affect you so you can get through this moment. Because
Mm.
this is the moment that we're stepping through the threshold from being a ape that derived from a human that derived from apes, to be a interstellar, consciously connected, superhuman beings. And this is where we're, you know the way to get off planet is not on a ship. Is to close your eyes and go inside, and the portal is inside yourself. And that's what we're stepping into the understanding of now. And I think these experiences, and it's just as powerful. I've had just as powerful experiences in dreams and stuff like that. Not as scary as that one, but definitely as powerful, and just as impactful. So tribal tribes around the world have been speaking for eons about dreamers. The dreamers have been well regarded in the tribe, in the community, and it hasn't been looked at as fiction until just recently in the Western world. It has had this program to deprogram us from who we really are, because
Yeah.
if we understand consciousness, then they can't take it from us, and they take it from us all the time through television, through pledge of allegiance, through all kinds of things. They're tricking us into saying mantras that feed our energy back to them. And I'm here to let people know, like, what's really going on, and how to take back your power.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the establishment is very good at that. They started controlling our mind all the way back in the year 325 when they made the first draft to the Bible. Then Constantine ordered it to be done. They took the good stuff out of there and left us with what works for them also. So now I see now we're down at the bottom of the hour. So for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Drew Banke. And this is getting deep. He is explaining his experiences going through the tunnel and all the related events leading up to that. And we are getting a little glimpse of what's behind the curtain. He wrote a couple of books, and I'm going to mention that to you because that is important. If you want to know more about what's behind the curtain, it could be a guide for you if you want to go out and have experiences like this. One of the book is I Am Perfect and So Are You. And another book is Find Your Inner Guru. That's the good one, the inner guru, because that's you. And you go
Hmm.
to Amazon and have a look at those books. I think you're going to find one of them that you can't live without, because this is good stuff. And, it appears to me also that once you start trying out some of the magic mushrooms or whatever these substances are, you gain some abilities that you normally don't have. And that could be even telekinesis, mind to mind communication, and other things. Could you talk about that a little bit? You told me before the show when we talked that there is something there that we should know about.
Yeah. So the chakra system is pretty well known about, and that lays in the same line as our backbone, as our spine. So our the chakra system lines up with our spine, and we have heart chakra, throat chakra, crown chakra, solar plexus chakra, and each one of these, like I've seen that really, like sicknesses, even all the way to cancer, things like that, are because of blockages in certain chakra points. A lot of us are experiencing, a vast majority, especially in the Western world, we're experiencing lower intestinal, colon cancer, things like that. That's because in the Western world, we don't know how to grieve properly. So quite literally, we're not expelling things like we should, and that's what the root chakra. That's the physical purpose of the root chakra, and that's the energetic and spiritual purpose of the root chakra. So when it gets blocked and we have colon cancer, that means we haven't. Almost every time when I'm talking to someone says they got colon cancer or something going on, GI issues, things like that, and my dad died, my mom died, I lost a child, something like that, and they haven't been able to grieve it properly because they don't understand. They think that energy is gone, and it's not that way. The energy is always there. That consciousness is always there. The physical might be gone, but the consciousness stays. So a way to show yourself this energy, and this is what I was explaining to Augie when we were talking before the show, but I have found, just by trial and error and watching my teachers, my plant medicine teachers, and just not even asking them what they're doing, just watching some of the stuff that they're doing, and then started doing on my own. So exercise that I've kind of come up with, you can have a lighter. So, and this can be any object, but for the sake of the conversation, you can have a lighter and hold a pendulum over the lighter. Don't get caught up in the flame. You don't even need to really touch the lighter, but it's just an object that we can talk about in two different ways. And pretty much everything has at least two different ways you can look at it. That's the beauty of our existence. That's the free will of our perception. We can view things however we want to. But as you're holding the pendulum over the lighter, you can talk about the lighter in a physical sense. It's a Bic lighter, it's red, it's plastic, it's got butane in it, it's got a spring, metal, so on and so forth. And while you're holding the pendulum over the lighter, try to stay in baseline and try to hold it as still as possible. But as you're talking about it, change how you're looking at it. Like, give gratitude to, like, how much gratitude would you give this lighter if you were stuck on the road and you had to light a fire from freezing to death. Maybe the lighter lit a candle in a Catholic church as a prayer. Maybe it lit some Palo Santo or sage or something like that as part of a ceremony. So therefore, it would be connected to that ceremony in a sacred way. And watch how that pendulum changes, whether you talk about in a physical 3D sense or more in a gratitude sense, or how you or a sacred sense, how you could view that object. And the pendulum will start to turn. The Fibonacci sequence is the basis of energy of all existence. At our very core, we look like a little swirl, without clothes, without skin, without bones, without all matter. Our consciousness still has this spinning Fibonacci sequence that comes off of everything. So this as you're doing this, and you can mess with it back and forth by speaking the words, and then you can graduate to actually not speaking but actually thinking. So this exercise shows you the power between of thought and words. And once you see this for yourself, then you have to like reevaluate, like, okay, my words are powerful, like I have to be real careful with everything I say now, like I can't, I and your prayers for someone really do affect, like there's an energy that goes out. And going back to the what I said before, the powers that be have known about this for a very long time. So once you see this pendulum thing, go back and think about how many times you said the Pledge of Allegiance, and how, and we have unknowingly been making our own cage and feeding this beast, our manifestation energy all along for so long, and they tricked us into it. And you can see this with the pendulum. It can, and this exercise can be done with a pendulum. It also can be done with a dowsing rod, and you can see your words, how they can transmute object, and cuss at it. You you can be sitting there and saying how much gratitude you have towards it, and then say a cuss word to it and see what happens. Like, and it goes back to what I'm not, this is, this understanding is nothing that I've really come to completely on my own. Dr. Emoto like helped us all out, like with his findings with water. And once you find out that positive negative frequency affect water, then you can equate that to yourself, and then you can start biohacking yourself. That's why binaural beats are important. That's why certain frequencies are important, because we are a glass of water. Like, we can biohack ourselves through frequency and vibration. And when you start serving ayahuasca, when you get behind the altar and start serving ayahuasca, you know this already, because you've experienced it. Like in the ayahuasca ceremonies, at certain points when you're singing different ikros and songs, the songs become visual. And a lot of people ask me, like, how do I know these songs? Like, I'm speaking different languages. Well, I'm really not speaking. I'm seeing a picture and I'm painting a picture, and the words are byproducts of me painting a picture in my mind.
Wow. 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 So when you uh, when you have a ceremony, are there multiple people having the experience or just you?
Sure. Yeah, I've had anywhere from one person to 89 people in ceremony before with ayahuasca. And 89's a lot. I had 30 helpers, and assistants, like helping people to the bathroom, making sure, just for safety reasons and things like that. But yeah, it's powerful. But one ceremony is powerful because, I mean, if you get someone and knows what they're doing with ayahuasca, and really takes you to the outer banks, and then past past the veils that are in the outer banks, and even further and further, this ayahuasca is not, it'll show you anything. It'll take you as far as you let it. It'll show you everything about the earth, but it'll eventually take you off planet. And it'll let you into all creation. It doesn't have, it has all access past to all creation, and it'll take you there.
It's amazing.
Mm.
How has your life changed? How have you changed
How has it
as a
not
result?
changed? How has it not changed?
How has it not changed? Wow.
How has it not
Mm,
changed? You
yeah.
know, in 19, in 19, I got shown what I'd be doing. I was shown I'd be speaking around the world, all these things. And it's took a while for me to realize if it's happening. But now, like, just probably over the past year, I realize it's happening, and it's a whole nother part of the process to take in, that holy, it is, all this is going on. And not saying I'm the only one, but I'm an archetype, I'm a messenger for source, and there's many of us out here, and we all do it. A lot of us are doing it in different ways, whether it be music, poetry. Mine just so happens to be, agreed to be, let voice source use my voice box, and basically meld with Drew and speak. Like, I speak as truthfully as possible about everything that I've seen and experienced, in hopes that it can help people have their own experience, no matter whether it be in dream space, psychedelics, or however far they want to take it, or however where they would just want to dip their toes. But having that experience, that's what's going to change you. That's what's going to shift your paradigm. You know, it's not going to be reading books and all that. The books and the talks and the appearances and all that, they help people open up to the possibility of it might happen to them. And that's why people, that's why we're sharing our story. That's why people are out here sharing their story of these things, because it opens up the possibility for people to have their own experience, and that's what's really going to change them. You know.
Yeah, speaking of that, what if somebody would like to participate in this? Could they come and join you in within the church, or?
Um, yeah, I'm holding limited retreats. I actually just today I've been working on the website and taking down some of the ceremonies I offer. So there's a few ceremonies I got a list on there of services on sacredjourneyswithin.com. And yeah, I'm going to be focusing more on speaking. So I'm shifting out of ceremonial work. I will be working with 5-MeO DMT, which is a Bufo-various DMT, which is basically connects you to source. It connects you back to the sun. It allows you to really
Yeah,
feel the sun how you're supposed to feel it. And so that's what I'm working with primarily now, and a few other ones, but mostly
okay.
I'm in the transition phase to mostly speaking, because I can affect larger numbers with speaking than I
Yep,
can with ceremony. Definitely the ceremonies are a lot more effective. You know, obviously someone who comes out and leaves, like they're changed forever, but it's a numbers game at this point, and I've been directed uh, to affect as many numbers as possible. So
yeah. And you did mention your website as sacredjourneyswithin.com, and we'll mention that again at the end of the show. So if you didn't write it down, you will get it.
you
And
can type in Drew Banky, and there'll be a plethora of things that pop up. So
yeah,
you ever need to find me, I'm easy to find on all the socials. Is just Drew Banky, and yeah, you can look up any of that, and you can definitely get connected to any of it.
yep. Wow. I got a
Um,
thought. Yeah, let me run this thought by you. Let's say that you run into somebody that is totally within the nuts and the bolts of things. If they can't see it, they can't feel it, they cannot eat it, they cannot taste it, cannot throw it in the air and shoot holes in it, then it doesn't exist. What do you tell them to crack the door a little bit to see outside of their paradigm?
Can a dog hear a dog whistle? I would ask them that, and the answer would be yes. And then, can we hear a dog whistle? No. Does that mean that tone is not there? Of course not. That tone is still there. So just like we're only hearing a very small, very small window of the frequency range of everything that's happening. Just think, if you slow down and meditate, like if you slow down and meditate for 2 minutes, you start hearing things. You start hearing bugs that you didn't hear before. You start hearing a plane going overhead you didn't hear before. Just think, like, if we really quiet our mind, what we could hear, what we could see, what we could smell, what we could touch, all our senses. So just because that tone from that dog whistle you can't hear it, that does not mean it's not there. The question that you have to ask yourself at that point, for the skeptic, would be, how far does that spectrum expand in both directions? And then add on all the other senses, and then start adding on the senses that we don't know, that we're just now finding out we have. Telepathy tapes is one of the most famous podcasts out there. Why? Because this is a time of awakening. It all started in 2020. Why did it start in 2020? Because back around the 1840s, I forgot the gentleman's name. I had it a while back, but that gentleman coined the phrase 2020 for perfect vision. From that date in 1840, the year of 2020 was set as the age that we started to experience clarity.
Hmm.
So all the way up to 2020, over 100 years, 200 years, whatever it was, all the way up to 2020. The year 2020, January 1st, 2020, every time that someone say 2020, they would think about vision, clarity. That's what it would exude from their body. That's what would manifest. The manifest energy would go out into the universe. Remember, we go back to the pendulum thing. All thoughts, all words have basis and they have energy behind them. So if we're thinking 2020 going up, we've been trained for generations coming up to January 1st, 2020. Well, as soon as January 1st, 2020 comes, we have to start writing down on checks. We have to start writing down, maybe not checks. No one uses checks anymore, but writing down on emails, all these different things. We for a whole year, billions of us across the whole planet wrote down 2020 million, hundreds and hundreds of times each. So trillions and gazillions of times 2020 has been pulsed out. So the year 2020 was set in the middle 1800s by a gentleman. He didn't even know what he was doing, but he unknowingly set the year 2020 that we start to experience clarity because we're manifesting it ourselves.
Wow.
Well, there's a question in the chat room, really good, interesting question from Linda, faith inspired. The earth gives off a vibration. If that vibration stops, will all living organisms stop?
Don't worry about the earth stopping. The earth's going to be here long before was here long before and long after. It's go through cycles. And let me tell you something about this earth. It is the third planet from the sun. It is the heart chakra of our solar system. And it's not only the heart chakra of our solar system, it is the heart and the center of all creation, because we are manifesting all creation in our minds. That's why we are so special on this planet, because we are not only going through this existence, but we are manifesting on this planet through our physical aspects, through our energetic aspects. And when we start having these conversations, we are manifesting new dimensional fields. We are manifesting new species. We are manifesting new timelines just by having these conversations. This is how powerful we are, and we need to understand that.
Yeah.
Wow. Very powerful.
Wow.
The first channeling I ever had from Source. I am the source of all creation. You are the power. You are the creator through the power of manifestation. Step back into your power to facilitate the upcoming evolutionary shift. And that is not for me, but that is for everybody.
Well, we found there is something to this matrix, and we are the one that is creating it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why
Absolutely.
I say the movie The Matrix was not science fiction. That was a documentary.
You got to think, if everything's connected, if
Yeah.
once you start getting down this, you start seeing numbers, synchronicities, you start having deja vu from dreams, then you start seeing the interconnectedness of everything. Like I did a podcast back in January, and like I had a comment on there, like one comment, but I said that oh man, where was I going? Where was I at? What was I saying, Augie?
You said you did something back in
Oh man.
January.
Yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that. Anyways, it
Okay.
must not have been that important. So
No.
we'll move on.
Nothing else you said.
No, this what it is. I see the universe in everything. I see myself in everything, and I see the universe in everything. When everything's clicking for me, like, when everything's falling into place, I see just things happening. I see like moments everywhere, moments to just remind me of different things. But I'll be right back. I'm right here. I got to tell this story.
Oh man, this is getting deep.
Wow.
Oh
Interesting.
gosh.
So, I'm right back. So this for the viewers, if you're not seeing the view, if you're not on YouTube or you can't see the feed, I'm holding up a National Geographic, the story of Jesus, that's in a frame. So uh, when I got the message that so I had a spontaneous moment of oneness. I went to a throne room, basically. I went inside Source, realized why there was no one ever there, because everything was always just perfect, and that's the basis behind my first book, talking about the truth and divinity of nature. Like we go into these ceremonies of meditation and see the divinity of nature, that everything is divine, everything is in line all the time, and then we come out and forget that truth. That's what the first book is about. I'm perfect and so are you. Like, that's one of the biggest lies that we've been told, that nothing's perfect. Actually, everything is. We just need to shift our perspective to it. I digress. So after that moment, I went through about a 4 or 5 day where I didn't really want to talk to anyone. I was just in a lot of meditation, a lot of processing what was happening, a lot of processing what it was going to come, like in the years to come. And this was in 2019, and I'm setting in right now, like actually doing this right now. Like, this was never podcast was never part of my path then. But I saw, like, I was going to have to be doing all this and speaking all this stuff that made a lot of people comfortable and to talk about. But I knew there was going to be a resonance where the right people that could hear the message at that time, or it was supposed to be here at that time, they was going to be able to really feel and absorb and digest the message. So this is on day 3 of this 5 day integration process of getting told by Source that I was going to be a messenger for Source on 2 legs. I was going to be integrated with that truth and be a walking messenger for that truth. I was going to have a life too, but there was going to be some type of balance of that, of speaking this truth of Source. And so on the 3rd day of that, my wife's like, "Hey, I got to go to the grocery store. We're getting low on, so we need some fruit, this, that, and the other, and we need to go to the grocery store." And she's like, "You want me to leave you here, or you want to go with me?" I was like, "I don't want you leaving me here," because there was like, no, we're in Florida at a friend's house. They let us use it for a few days. They understood. They saw me, like, right after it happened. So they was like, "I don't know what's going on, but just take the house for a few days." So I was like, "I don't want to stay here alone, like, because I'm seeing stuff there's stuff coming out of corners. I'm seeing this, all types of things. Like, I'm seeing the, the physical world and the spirit world. There wasn't a really thick veil at that time. Let's put it that way. A lot constant talk. Had Buddha talk, like literally Buddha talking to me, Jesus talking to me, all these different things. And I was like, "No, I'll just go with you to the store. Maybe it'd be good to get out and, like, get my mind off of all this and get around some people maybe." And man, that was not the right choice. Like, I went to the grocery store, and in the grocery store, I was just hearing people's thoughts, and uh,
Well,
I don't know how to put it, but the universe was talking to me. And I was hearing a word come out, like, in grocery stores, like, they have music playing. So a word would come out of the music that was playing in the grocery store, and it would connect. I would be walking past 2 people, and they'd be talking. And one of the words from their conversation would connect with that word from the song. And next, a word would literally pop out of a cereal box, like one word, and would come out, and it would connect. And it was just a constant sentence, but words would be coming from a different direction, a different source all the time. And I was like, man, I was like, this is no psychedelics. Like, those moments, those 4 or 5 days when I was in those moments, I had no psychedelics. I was smoking tobacco that time and just drinking water and just really trying to process what was happening to me. And I didn't know if it was ever going to die down. So, um, some stuff happened with a nun there. There was actually a physical nun that popped up. She held my hand. She started to kiss it. Started to kneel down. My wife come up. She's like, "What is going on here?" I was like, "I don't know, baby. Like, get me out of here." Like, she saw the nun, and it's just crazy stuff. So we're walking to the checkout, and I hear, like, Jesus is like dead on talking to me in my ear, like I had an earbud in. And we're walking up to the checkout, and um, you know, most of the aisles are open. 3 has no one in it. 4 has like 2 or 3 people, and I go and there and this voice in my head is like, go to aisle 4, go to aisle 4, go to aisle 4. And my wife's like, there's nobody in aisle 3. And it's like she's like, I'm not waiting behind 2 people when there's an empty aisle here. And she's like, I've heard enough of all this. I was like, trust me, just stay in this aisle. And she's like, what's going on? And she's like, you're freaking me out. And I'm like, Jesus is talking to me right now. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, but Jesus is talking to me right now. And she's like, what is he saying? He said, and as soon as she said that, he's responding in my mind. He's like, read about me, read about me, read about me. And he said, you must need to read the Bible. And then he goes, no, read the story of me. I get walking up into the aisle. My ear starts ringing on the right side. I turn and look, and this is
Oh,
in
Oh,
wow.
in the rack right beside me in aisle 4.
There
I
you
immediately
go.
grab it, put it on. This is the original that's in here. This is the original from the day it happened. The day I bought it that day and read it.
Wow.
wow.
I ran over to aisle 3. It's not in aisle 3. It wasn't displayed in aisle 3. I
Okay.
get to
Yeah.
the
All right.
I get to the end of the book. I get to the end of this special edition, National Geographic Special Edition. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm on the last page. I'm asking in my mind. 108 pops out as 100. There's 108 pages in this right here. 108 pages pops up. The number pops up. I could see it in midair. It's like, okay, keep in mind 108. About 3 days later, I'm listening to a podcast. Guys talking about 108 Buddhist deities. So I do a
Wow.
dive. Do a dive into Buddhism, and I start seeing that Jesus and Buddhist was the same spirit,
Yeah.
same message. A fractal source with a message.
Yes.
Oh boy, oh boy. I see we have got 2.5 minutes left of the show.
Wow. That's
God,
amazing.
we gotta have you come back.
I can't wait.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be good. But
I can't
uh,
wait.
s- speak a little bit before we go. Speak a little bit about your books. So, what
So
people will get from it.
the first book is, I think the first 8 chapters is my experience. A lot of breaking down each chapter is experience, and you're probably hear some of the ones that I'm talking about now, but they're going a lot more depth about the first 8, and then it comes out to my awakening moment, and then you know, basically I think the Jesus stories in there and stuff like that. And that's kind of the first book what led up to my awakening, and the media afterwards. Find the inner guru is tries to answer the question, what do you do after the awakening? How do you integrate that into your life? So there's a workbook, so at the end of each chapter there's questions that, and I made it bigger so people could write on it, and so they could actually go through it. Like, so it's made for someone that's had that near death experience, had that abduction experience, had that ayahuasca experience, whatever it may be, that really broke their melon open and try to answer, like, what do I do with this and how do I integrate this into my life and make it benefit me?
Oh,
Yes.
excellent.
Amazing.
That is good.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, so I talked to I got a new agent this morning, and yeah, I'll be looking forward to, we're going to be setting up some in-person events where we'll uh, put it out a good amount ahead of time, and you can be there and hear me talk in person and do some of these demonstrations in person. So, and whatever else comes out. But yeah, we're going to be setting up some big in-person events with just me speaking. So
Yeah,
be looking forward to that.
that's good.
Definitely. Yes. Well, thank you for joining us, Drew. This was captivating, just amazing. And I mean, the way that you have been spoken to is just so clear and so direct, and just
That's
the
good.
clarity. Right? We started with talking about clarity, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We went to look at a house last Friday, and we got back home from looking at the house, and that was the same night as that big light in the sky that was all over. So that big light that appeared on Friday night, I was outside when it happened, and I was outside praying about. I was like, should we buy this house? Should we sell this house and go move back to Creststone? Same valley and everything. This is a very sacred valley. Like that's a whole another book of shows that we could do on this valley. But so I was just asking for clarity, and that light appeared in the sky, and yeah, we're putting together a contract and buying that house. So
Good for you.
Oh,
Congratulations.
all right. Oh, I got
Yeah.
one last question for you. It's my favorite question. If you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
each and every one of us are energetic beings. We're particles of God. We're particles of Source going through an experience, and look at it from that perspective. And it can be a lot better on your own personal life, and it also can expand. So just love one another. And if you understand your source and everything is around you is source, how can you be mad at anything?
Yeah.
Love yourself. Fall in love with yourself until you have unconditional love for all creation.
Perfect.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
All right. Well, then
Thanks,
we are
everybody.
down to the end. And well, I, I'm kind of speechless because this was so much information. It took a while to sort it out. It was very deep. Thank you.
It is my honor, and I hope I help someone reach someone. And that's the goal. If I've always said, like, I started speaking in 19, and if I could just get to one person, and I'm starting to get to more than one person, so it's an honor.
Yeah. Thank you
Good
very
work.
much. Thank you very much for being with us. And then for all of you out there watching and listening, be good to each other, and we'll see you in the next show. And
Guys. Thanks, Drew.
well, Mac, I think we're done.
Mac?
Let's go for another hour.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, well, that's all right. Well, I guess we can just disconnect ourselves and then we'll be okay. He is recording everything, so we will see you.
Yeah. Much love, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You